Oh my God! Bring him in! Bring him in!
Man,
Bring him in!
me?
Oh, he's got a Purdue background.
Are you
He's got a
kidding
Purdue
me?
background. Are you kidding me? Whiskey Jam? Are you kidding? Well, I mean, what, bro? Okay, we're going right into it. There we go. Look at the mug, bro. Look at the mug. Show the mug. Show the people the mug, bro.
Oh.
Show the mug.
Oh, hang on.
It's a gun.
There we go.
No, it's a mug. State of Texas. Okay, here it is. Beside, I don't even know how to begin. I'm already, get a little coffee in, get it in, big pour. Yep.
There we go.
What?
Chemex, a little pour over.
A little pour over, no bigs. Spoilers, you got manager Mark he's Big Brother right now.
Love it.
Love it. Good stuff. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Luke Bellis. I want to introduce you. We're on the all-time podcast. The man, the myth, the legend. We've talked about him on here before. We've talked about him as a grinder, as an O-lineman, as a hamburger demolisher, as a Bud Light only drinker. No Coors Lights around here.
Yeah.
No Miller Lights. That's what? What is it? What's Miller Lite, Roos?
It's piss. What did I used to say it was?
It's butt. It's your line, brother.
It's butt. Yeah, it's butt. You can't be ordering that, dude.
We got Jordan Roos on the all-time pod. Our guy Roos. Thank you, my guy, for jumping on.
It's a pleasure.
Electric background. You want the boiler?
Got some stuff. A couple moving pieces going on there.
How long have you had that set up for?
The wifey set it up, so.
Nice.
I came back from the season; it was all put together. But we've been moving in. We moved into my in-laws' house just to have help with the babies and whatnot during the season, and so it's been perfect.
Yeah, Creatureman has two youngsters.
Oh yeah, yep. We got Lonnie Love. She's a month old today, and then Rogan Thor Roos is 2 years old, and he's a madman.
Yeah, so Luke Bellis, like the host of the show, I want to give you a quick story about my guy Roos, and then we're gonna get into a few things. But I was chatting with our guy Creatureman here when his wife was first pregnant with Rogan Thor Roos, and one of my favorite moments was I believe I was in a car or restaurant. His wife's name is Mari, but we call her Marzi. Okay, well, really just me. That's the only person who calls her that. But Marzi, he comes in and he's all bent out of shape. He's like, dude, this is ridiculous. I'm like, what's ridiculous? He's like, Marzi doesn't like the idea of naming our son Ragnar. I'm like, what other options did you give her? He goes, bro, either Ragnar or Thor. And I'm like, oh, what is that's so surprising. She doesn't really love those options.
Yeah, that's all time.
And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, Rogan Thor Roos, which is a great name, by the way, and really flows.
Yeah, it's great. I thought she jokingly agreed to Ragnar, and then when we got closer to game day, I was like, dude, I can't. I'm so excited for this. He's like, what are you talking about? That's not happening. And I was just crushed. And then that's when I talked to him. And then we waited until basically we were in labor until the baby came out, where I just slipped in Thor as the middle name. It worked out perfect.
All right. Before we get into more stories like this, we're going to take it back a little bit. Little intro. My guy Jordan Roos out of Purdue, undrafted free agent. Year one, comes into Seattle, cracks the roster. We're going to get into that story here in a little bit. Been in the league now. I believe we're going into year 7. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Going into 7. He's had a crazy journey, especially in his post-Seattle days. Worked for everything he's got. And for those of you who are listening, well, a cool moment for me, a very popular podcast right now about football, is Busting with the Boys. They're chatting about him. Taylor Lewan was saying how much money he thinks you made this year because my guy got a shot after fucking 6 years. Again, we've talked about it on this pod. balled out, going into free agency.
Let's go.
Jordan motherfucking Roos, a.k.a. Creatureman. Again, here he is in the flesh, Belly.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be here.
Jordan,
So-
I've heard a lot,
Yeah.
man. I got a question. I want to get right to some of these questions. Luke, the nickname Creature Man, where does
Oh
that
my God.
come from?
Dude, I showed up to, I guess it was like the first day the vets were back in OTAs. And so like there's already like a certain level of like anxiety going on as being like a rookie and being in the building. And he was like the first person I interacted with in the building. We like turned, he was coming out of the locker room. I was going, yeah, Luke was. He was coming out of the locker room. I was coming in the locker room and he like bumps into me. He's like, "What are you?" He's like, "You're like some kind of creature or something. I'm gonna call you Creature Man." And like we hadn't even introduced ourselves to each other. And then he was like, "You went to Purdue?" He was like, "Where'd you go to school?" And I said, "Purdue." And he was like, "You went to Purdue? They were trash." Because I guess Rice had beat him like his senior year. And it's like we were running that day, and he was like, "Purdue's trash, Purdue's trash," the whole time he was running. And I was like, who is this guy chirping me?
So here's my side of the story. You left
Yeah.
the key component out here. Okay, so again, I think I'm in year 3. Does that sound right? Maybe 4. And the rookies come in, and this is like my day, Belly. Like the rookies come in, and I'm like ready to feast. I'm like, dude, who am I going after today? And all of a sudden, Jordan comes around the corner, like he said. He's got the big beard like we're looking at right now. And the Canadians will love this, but he's wearing a pair of 7-inch, maybe even 5-inch seam.
You're probably 5, yeah.
Lululemon shorts.
Okay.
My guy's benching 5 bills at the time. Okay. He's got
Still do.
We'll get into that.
Yeah.
And he's got on what I'm going to say is like a men's large Lululemon tank, black on
I
black.
don't know.
He's exploding out of this thing. And I just look at him and I go, "What are you?" I'm like, "This guy looks like a fucking crazy, bro." And then I again found out at Rice we didn't win too many big games, but Purdue had a little stretch where they were like struggling through coaches and shit. And they came down to Rice as a non-conference, expecting to like beat the fuck out of us. And this was the year before you got there, though. You were not actually on this team, correct? Rich?
Yeah, I wasn't on the team. Was not on the team.
Yeah. And no sure shit, we beat Purdue at home, blocked a last-second field goal. It was like winning the Super Bowl. So, of course, I finally goes to Purdue. And I'm like, this is my guy, man. But I will say that moment, kind of like the way he handled it, really was like, dude, this is like one of us. And we weren't sure at the time. This is in April. So we don't know, like there's 90 guys. We're going down to 53. And at that moment, Roos is probably 90 of 90. Now, when cutdown day came and he made the motherfucking team, that shit was electric. So it was like kind of fun to like rag on him when he was the 90th guy. And then all of a sudden he's on the squad over 3 months, just developed, started balling out. Me and Jimmy Graham actually went to our equipment guy and requested that when he made the team, because he didn't know, but we kind of knew he was gonna, and that his locker would be right by ours. So we had the corner of the locker room, and it was like not only do you make it, it's this fat locker with me and Jimmy, and we just bro out every day.
It's prime real estate. I will say that I probably wasn't 90. Okay, whenever the draft process was going on, but when the draft process was going on, it was like I thought I was going to go, late, and then Seattle calls me. Pete's like, "Hey, we're thinking about taking you or this running back with our last pick. Just kind of have to hold tight." I ended up drafting Chris Carson over me, so I guess it wasn't a bad draft pick by them. Taking him over me. So
what's that process like of just being undrafted? What's like you're sitting there day 3, you're waiting for the phone to ring, and then it doesn't ring. What are the next week, 2 weeks look like for you there?
Yeah. My agent was really, really stressed upon me. Like it didn't matter where you start or whatever. I mean, obviously you get more money in the front end if you get drafted or whatnot, but you just need an opportunity, and the rest everybody's got to make their own, path and make the team. There's a few guys that probably get a little bit of a a green light. They can skate by a little bit, but everybody has to go and make the team and play well. So I already had made up my mind. Like I knew I was going to come in, work my ass off, play hard, and in Seattle they really do appreciate guys that play that way, and so it gave me a chance.
So then you get to Seattle, you make the team, you got the locker next to my co-host over here. At what point of the season did you realize that he wasn't really all that funny of a guy? He just has a weird voice and repeats the same thing over and over.
See, the issue is that
oh god,
I'm just saying we feed off each other, so it wasn't. I enjoy it, so I say everything twice probably because of him. And then if you get around each other and you do that for the whole year, then everybody else around you starts talking like that, and so I feel like my verbiage and all the things that I say is just kind of more from him and from Jimmy and then all the other guys that I've been around with in the league. So I think that he's hysterical, and I enjoyed playing with him.
Yeah, Belly. This isn't Blore dogging me. It's my motherfucking guy right here.
No, he is. I have a wide range of ridiculous Luke stories though we can get into. But
I'd like anything comes off the top of your head. This might be the moment.
It's a good place.
Yeah, no, okay. Well, he had been really inspired. He came to me one day in the locker room and said, "Hey, man, I just watched this documentary on Netflix." He's like, "I'm fuck you."
Valor told the story.
He said, "I'm really, really gonna just do this, man. I want to go vegan."
Game changers.
Yeah, game changers. So he'd be running around game changers, and anyways. I don't know. Fast forward, he's been this, and he's looking a little frail and a little weak at times from being a vegan. And I'm like, hey, let's go to dinner, man. So, but before we go to dinner, we decided we were going to go pick up this bottle of wine. So he drove me to this warehouse, and this guy walks out. He's
Stop! You're not doing. This guy gets in my car and goes, "Hey, man, we're going to dinner, Bell." He goes, "We got to make a quick stop." I'm like, the fuck? He's like, "I got to pick up a bottle of wine." I'm like, "Why do I feel like we're going to a drug deal right now?" He's like, No, we're good. I'm like, "Who are you texting?" He's like, "I got this guy's number." I'm like, "You don't know him?" I'm like, "So we're meeting a random guy to pick up a bottle of wine?" He's like, "You don't know what you're talking about. Relax." We drive into this industrial park where there's this strange, deranged looking warehouse. Okay. And I'm like, what the fuck have you gotten me into? Anyways, take it away. Take it away.
So we get there, the guy has to phone in on and they give him the code to get in the building. So we go through the first store, then they get the key to unlock the gate. We go and this guy pulls out all these extravagant wines, and I had probably never had a nice wine before that. I don't know what kicked. I don't know what put. Oh, my wife. She was yelling at me about me always ordering Bud Lights at dinner, and she's like, Jordan, you can't be going to these nice dinners and just drinking Bud Light. So that's what kind of got me into wine. But anyways, we got this 1980 Chateau de Pez. Or no, it was a Chateau Palmer. Chateau Palmer.
That was it.
And we went Chateau Palmer, 1980 Chateau Palmer. It was $250 or something. And we ended up going to the Met, which is the nicest steakhouse in Seattle, on a Monday night, and brought in this 40-year-old bottle of wine. They pop it, and we're sitting there, and Luke is still a vegan at this point. But he decided that this was going to be his cheat meal, and he ordered the olive Wagyu flight of beef. And so I think that's probably what ended your vegan journey there that night.
That might have been it.
The Chateau Palmer and the flight of Wagyu beef.
A couple things in the vegan world was done. Okay. On a separate note, Belly, if you can just envision this was an electric night for myself and Roos. But I just remember sitting
and
there.
Mars was there. Mars was there as well.
Marsy was there. That's right. So Marsy's there, and Roos walks in, as you can see right now, with his whiskey jam hat. He didn't have that exact hat on, but he's a very southern flair. Yeah, cowboy hat. And he pulls out this fucking 40-year-old bottle of wine and was like, "Can you uncork this?" Me and him have no idea what the fuck we're doing. We're not even doing it. Okay? And it's you think we get the ribeye. Roos is actually a meat connoisseur. And I don't mean that in a weird way. This guy starts,
Yeah.
we open the menu, this guy becomes a waiter and is like, did you know that this snow beef comes from a certain province in Japan? Giving me lectures on this beef. Then he tries to tell me that certain cows only eat olives their entire life. I still don't know if that's true.
It's
But
true,
then he
dude. That
starts
was
going,
fire.
that was fire. Snow beef?
Snow beef?
Snow beef?
Are you kidding me?
Just like it was like Dumb and Dumber, and his wife Mari just has to sit there and just put up with her idiocy. But back to you now, Roos. And maybe we'll trade stories back and forth. But one of the things I was hoping you could tell a little bit. So your first year, you're on the team, you're inactive on game days for the first part of the year. Can you tell us what it was like? I remember it vividly. When they activated you, it was kickoff return. The rules were different back then, so we still had the wedge. And just kind of take us through, like, you're what, 22, maybe 23? And, like, you're
I had
the
to
fan
been
favorite in the locker
23.
room, and everybody's amped because you're getting the nod and you're getting in.
Have we started Techno Thursday before that?
Not yet. That's next year. That's coming.
Oh,
That's
okay.
coming.
Yeah, dude, I was fucking fired up and ready to just maul somebody.
T-bar
And that was like
on. T-bar on.
and that I think our kickoff return team had been like abysmal at that point, and they put me on there on the wedge with Glow, and their big guy had like Mark Gawinski. Their big guy on special teams had like 12 tackles at this point in the season on kickoff, and so he'd been just destroying them. We were playing Atlanta. And I freaking just, the first one guy's looking back for the ball and like setting the distance, for the returner to catch it. And then the other guy's like tracking the two guys we're supposed to block. And so like we're communicating, we're like, go. And I just fucking blast this dude. And we hit a big run, and it was kind of history from there. I would average like 1.5 or 2 knockdowns a game on kickoff return. It was like the best time of my life. I would be like I would be like smacking the Epsom salt, like the smelling salts, the smelling salts, just smacking them. And then, there we go.
There's the T-bar. That's what I wanted to show. So this is the Titans pick, but real quick, there's the T-bar. Picture this guy, right? Young Jordan Roos. We're all amped. We're playing at CenturyLink. It's the electric atmosphere. They're like, yo, kickoff return, go in there. I'm like, dude, like, this is my guy, Belly. And I'm like, come on, Roos, like, ball out here, make a play. And like I said, at the time, you can't do this no more. We'd set the wedge. It was a 2-man wedge, like 15 yards. So Mark Lewinsky sets the thing. They would almost hold arms or like grab each other's shoulders. And literally, it's just like sheer carnage, like battering rams.
You're holding hands.
My guy goes, and the first one just, boom! T-bar smokes this guy, lays him out. Next one, same thing. The sideline's going ballistic, dude. And then it was fun. Like Pete would always do like highlight reels, especially games that we played well. So it was like Monday coming in and being like, oh, we got to highlight something, even in the special teams meeting. And to have young Jordan Roos just collecting souls on kickoff return kind of gave him a lot of street cred in the locker room.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy looking back on it now, like thinking like to make an impact on a special teams, and so something so small as like the wedge, like it was cool that I was able to do that. And I love doing it. I wish that they still had it. I'd do it. Even if I was starting, I'd be out there playing, doing it.
So I want to jump around. We're gonna get into Techno Thursday and the short shorts here in a sec. But and I need to confess something on this pod too about Techno Thursday. But let's talk now that we're on the mindset, Roos. So one of the things that I thought is like your greatest strength is your ability to just fucking let it rip on game day. Guys like you that have had crazy journeys, like this year, for example, I remember talking to Jordan right before he was going to start, and he's like, I call him on the phone. He's like, dude, I'm going to fucking kill it. Like, I'm going to go out there, rip this thing off. I've been waiting for 6 years. I'm going to rip it up, light my hair on fire, and fucking go for it. I watched that whole game, and it was like, this guy just balled out. And like, I call him after the game, and he's like, or maybe we were texting. He's like, dude, there's a few I want back, but I fucking played my ass off. I'm like, you goddamn right you did. And the reason I'm saying that is, how have you always had that mentality? And like, can you give us what it's like this year? You're going in, and it's like, yo, I'm starting. You guys are in the playoff race. You're playing 85 snaps. Like, what is the mentality of an offensive lineman in that moment? And like, I guess, would you say that would be one of your strengths? Like, does everyone, I mean, I know the answer to this, but like, not everyone has that kind of edge you have. Just let the people know a little bit about what goes on in the mind of Jordan Roos.
Yeah, I mean, that's my biggest strength would be just that, I'm going to go out there and fight regardless of whatever my circumstances are. And then, like, the hardest part is the pressure it's put on you, like when you're undrafted or you're later in your career and you don't have the resume that other guys have. You don't have as many opportunities. And so, like, even the reps in practice, I would say the biggest thing, like, our coaching staff would be like telling the scout guys, like, hey, you got to use these reps for like game reps because you never know when your number will be called. And everybody kind of like, yeah, okay, coach. Because it's hard if you're on the scout team and you're not in the starting role or you're not the next guy in. It's hard to like stay locked in and be motivated. But for me, in my mind, I was like, if I do get an opportunity, I have to take every rep in practice like a game rep. So I'm running downfield, chasing the ball, covering 30 yards downfield or whatever. And by doing that, it allowed me to, whenever I did get my opportunity, to go out there in the game and show that and play hard and like jump off the screen. And, when you have a wife and 2 kids at home, you have a little different sense of urgency about you than if you're, a young guy coming in or whatnot. And so, my biggest attribute has always been my motor. And so I wanted to make sure to go out there and prove that and show it in a real game, which, I think I did.
Jordan, you've mentioned your wife has come up a couple times in this chat, so I'm just kind of curious. It took you 6 years of being in the league to finally get that first start. Her support throughout the 6 years, how has she helped you along your journey?
Oh yeah, she's a warrior, man. I mean, it's hard enough, raising kids, with both parents in the house, and then at times, I'm in Nashville and she's here, and we have help from our family and whatnot with the kids, but it's hard to like up and move your family whenever you get cut, a week before you get your first start in the NFL. So it's like you never really know what the right thing to do is, living wise, but we just take it on together, and she's been so supportive, and it was a real special moment getting my first start. And I mean, I was so emotional after the game, and like I played so good, and everybody told me, you did great, but I was like crying just because it was like it's hard to tell yourself that you're good enough to play in the league for 6 years, and people constantly tell you that you're not good enough, not to your face, but by you getting fired. Like, you get cut or you're the first guy they cut whenever they need to bring somebody else in, and then you're not good enough because they're firing you, And so it's hard to stay motivated and locked in and tell yourself that you're good enough to play for 6 years. And then when it finally came to be, I was just like overcome with emotions. But yeah, and my wife's been a huge part of that, is staying supportive. And there's times too where it's kind of like I feel like after COVID, I went and I was working a security job, wasn't on a team. So I went like 8 months. I got fired from New England, drove home, saw my son be born. And then I wasn't in a camp that next year for like, it was like an 8-month time period. And so I was like working security, wondering if I was going to like get another opportunity. And then the Titans worked me out. And the rest has been history. But it's hard to like think, looking back on it, from getting my first workout with the Titans to where I am now. It was a long journey, to get out there and to be playing in the game. I mean, Luke knows how it is, and so.
I mean, Belly, I'll give you another one with him that was kind of dope. We were working out together in Seattle, which we're going to get into these workouts here in a sec. And it was off season. And I remember, like, this is how fast it goes. So Roos is obviously, like we've said, like married, and has a family on the way at this time, I believe. And it's like we're in Seattle. He doesn't have a job at the moment. Boom. What was it? The span of 2 hours, you get a couple phone calls. We're at the gym, and like you got to even put all your stuff down. Like, yo, I got to take this. Boom. And he's in Oakland. I guess would have been Las Vegas.
Yeah, it was Vegas.
How quick was that flight? Like, I think it was later that day.
Yeah, no, I had to like pack everything up. Like my wife was, she was like 37 weeks pregnant at the time, and so we had to move all our. We had some movers load up a pod, and then moved everything back to Texas. But yeah, it's a crazy journey. And then even then was like that was the COVID year, and so we didn't have any preseason. So like, how do you make a team with no preseason film too? So that was kind of like the kiss of death for me on that, because I felt like that the game situation stuff is whenever I would kind of shine through. It didn't look as good in practice, I feel like, but whenever you have a bunch of reps and live bullets, it looks a little different than like one-on-ones in practice.
So let's cue it up. Producer Al, cue it up. You want to know what looks
Second
good?
down and 4. Willis keeps it himself. Breaks a tackle. Willis spinning his way. Still going. Touchdown! Malik Willis. His first NFL touchdown.
Like that to me kind of embodies Jordan Belly. Like this dude just always working. That play should have been a good run that ended on the 6, but it's like my guy's always got his foot on the gas and he's ripping, bro. So we had to show that clip in there. Sick moment. Let's transition a little bit, if you will, and talk about Jordan Roos in the weight room. And I know there's no humbleness allowed here, bro. I want actual concrete numbers right now. I want to know when you got really into it. And I want to know, you always tell me stories. You're one of the rare guys where strength coaches actually have to tell you to stop max benching. Is that correct?
I would say for sure the last 3 or 4 years it's been I get cut off more than like they tell me to go up. So, but I have to get a little more creative. I'd say like 405 is when they kind of like cut me off. So like I'll just change my grip up, or we'll do different reps. But in the off season,
why do you like bench pressing so much? What is your current bench max at the moment?
I think my bench it's still like 545. Whenever the last time 545 somewhere in there. Whenever I think you were there, no?
I was there.
Yeah.
And what was tough about that moment, it was actually kind of a low point for me because I love to make fun of you. And I love to just, even if you could have the greatest play. I know I just gave you a compliment, but I love to be like, that shit was trash. You're trash. Yeah. But when you bench press 545 in front of my face, which is pretty much my squat max, I'm kind of like, at the time, it's definitely not anymore. I'm like, and you cannot say anything. I could say 0 things.
Yeah, there was no chirping.
45 fucking pounds, and you ripped it up, bro.
Yeah, I think I just got fired again. I don't know. I was like, screw it. I need to come in and get a pump. And we're like, you know what? We'll max out today. Let's see where we're at.
I wanted you to tell Luke Bellis a little bit about your experiences with TSA pre-check. I know you've had some horror stories.
Are we still talking about the weight room or no? Are we over that?
Oh no, let's go back to the weight room. Let's keep going. What else you want to say with the weight room?
No. I've always it was a cool story. I remember I was like a water boy when I was little. I guess I was in the I was in the 4th or 5th grade, somewhere in there. And I remember like being in the truck with my dad, like asking him like, hey man, like I want to be on varsity one year, as a freshman. And we sat down and like wrote down all my goals of what I needed to get
Salina, Texas.
This is in Salina, yeah. And so like we wrote them down like an Excel sheet. Like I needed to bench over 300 as a freshman in high school, and then I forgot what my number was.
Over 300 as a freshman in high school.
Well, that was my initial goal. I think I ended up hitting like 330 or something. And at the time, I mean, I don't know if it's a legit, like if you take the bar off and you hand it to me, if I was actually getting it all the way up. I think I might have had a little bit of, some guidance there with the hands on the bar, but
I'm still giving you.
I'd give you the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. And then I ended up doing, I think it was like, 420 in high school. And then I have my little 505 down here on the corner that was our Purdue bench record. And then they stopped doing it. But
do you understand now, Belly, why, even though we fell into it, why Creatureman is such a fitting name for our guy? 400 pounds benching in high school? That's ridiculous.
Like I said, I think that stemmed my obsession from it was like whenever I sat with my dad, I was like, hey, we need to go. And obviously, I've gotten chirped along the way about my bench being more than my squat. That was like anybody that that was a thing people chirped me about for a while, even at Purdue.
Okay,
But
tell me the truth.
but
Tell me the truth on this. I need to
What's up?
ask, Bruce.
What's up?
So this is not the case anymore, Belly. But Roos comes in. We talked about his rookie year, and he's benching 5 bills. Later on, I think you got to 545. But my guess is maybe when you were a rookie, you might have been 520-ish. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, somewhere
Again,
around there.
these are ungodly numbers here. But his squat was just respectable. And I love to make fun of him. Man, he's a rookie. So I remember saying, like, man, you look like one of those like birds hanging from a tree, like with the little legs. We're just killing them. We're like, this guy can't squat shit. What did you, bro? Did what me and Jimmy said, making fun of you, did that affect you at all? Because all of a sudden you went home for off season and now you squat the house.
Yeah, I mean, the chirps are always great. I mean, I did want the boys think that I couldn't, squat weight. So I had to go in and put it in the off season.
Bro, he didn't want the boys thinking he couldn't squat. So the guy shows up squatting 700 6 months later.
I think it was compounded by like people in college doing it, too. Like my best friend Jason, like he squatted the house, Jason, and he would always chirp me about that. So I was always trying to one up him or compete with him squat wise, but yeah, he could squat the house.
So again, I was hoping, if you don't mind, bro, tell us just your version of the story of how you had some troubles in Seattle, TSA pre-check.
I mean, this guy's an idiot, dude. This guy is an idiot. I get up to the TSA line, and I didn't know that this is this is a big elaborate plan here. And all of a sudden, I'm getting my number gets called. I got to go because when you fly with the team, there's like I don't know what, like 20% of the guys have to get checked.
Yeah,
is that what it is? We'll say 20%. So the majority of the time they say, all right, Mr. Roos, go on through. You're good. This time, I saw my name was highlighted, and I go through, and Luke is just like, prior to us going, he was like waiting. We always like would walk together, hang out, but he like was annoyingly like right next to me the whole time prior to us going to the line. So we get there, and Luke goes through. He's fine. All right, go ahead. And then I get pulled off to the side, and as they're going, like they're like wanting my boots and whatnot. He's like, "Hey, he's got drugs in his bag. Get him!" And had planted a bag of sugar in my bag, and they never found it.
Which is ridiculous.
But he was being ridiculous, screaming at the top of his lungs, "Hey, he's got drugs in his bag. Get him! Check him! No, look more!" Because they weren't finding it, so he was like trying to like tell them where to look.
I just remember, so they never find this thing, Belly. And in Seattle, like you said, it was an elaborate plan. So everyone was in on it, like our security guys. And you travel generally with the same police guys. So you kind of know them as well. So I'm sitting there, like everyone knew that I had planted a fake bag of cocaine in Roos's, bag. He was going to get checked by TSA. So they don't find it. So now I'm in a blender. I'm like, how on earth? Like, where did it go? So then fast forward, we get on the plane, and I'm like freaking out now because I think we were going to Arizona. But the next time we'll go through TSA, we'll be in Arizona, and we have no connections there. Like, I don't know one person in the TSA office there. Not that we know them, but that have come to the facility. We don't know the Arizona State Police. And so now I'm telling them on the plane, I'm like, dude, there's a bag of fake cocaine in your bag. And he just snaps at me. He's like, shut the fuck up, bro. I'm sick of this shit. He's like, there's nothing in my fucking bag. They're already checked. I had to convince him, but we did end up finding, I didn't really look. The bag of sugar was in a dirty sock, and she had pulled the sock out, but didn't actually, feel the sock for substance
all
or
time.
lack thereof that was in there. Yeah, end of story. Roos, is there anything like? Yeah.
I got another good one. That's the whole that's Luke's thing. But he's got drugs in his bag. Get him. My wife was driving in to get me one time at the facility, and he scarred her with chirping her. She's driving in as Luke's driving out, and she's in my truck. And so the security guy sees my truck. We're cool with him, just gonna let him in. And Luke rolls his window down and screams, "She's an intruder! Get her! Get her!" And the security guy goes out and is like stopping her in my truck. And then like he just was like, "Oh shit!" and like zooms off, and she has to tell him like, "Hey, I'm supposed to be here." But he would do that all the time. He would just terrorize the reporters, man. Like there'd be some random new reporter, and he'd be like, "Hey, this guy voted for Trump. Get him, get him." It was like they didn't know how to react. So like then they never wanted to come over and interview him because they knew when they came over, like they were gonna get, hassled.
Yeah, well, a big one for me, especially during the polarizing Trump years. I think my favorite one with that, I had done it quite a bit, but again, the Seattle media would know kind of what I was about at this time. I had also accused a lot of reporters of meat gazing, things of that nature. And so we go, and Seattle had a guy who was a beat writer locally and was a pretty big anti-Trump guy, and he had left the team for greener pastures and went to New York. I don't know exactly what role he was doing in New York, but whatever. So we ended up going, but a year later, we played, I want to say it was the Giants, might have been the Jets, but one of the two. And you're in New York, there's way more media after the game, right? It's New York media. So game ends, we won, and said individual comes in. It's an electric atmosphere, big road win. We're in New York. And he's like, "Luke, we're catching up. You have a nice 5-minute combo." I'm like, "How's the new gig, et cetera, et cetera?" He's like, "Good." I'm like, I got to do this. So what I would do, Belly, is I would wrap my arm around these guys, and I would pretend like they were whispering something to me. And then I'd just like scream like, "What did you just say?" Like, and then he's like, "Please don't, Luke. Please don't." And I'm like, "This guy just told me vote for Trump." Get him! Like the whole locker room. And every like New York reporter would be like just zeroed in on him. And he's just sitting here like, "God damn it, man, not again." It's been a year of this shit. So that was a go-to. And Roos always enjoyed that. I think you got to kick out of those.
I always get a kick out of that. I like trying to keep it going a little bit, like through my journey, and people kind of look at me funny, and I'm like, "Hey, man, you kind of." I guess it was one of those you had to be there. But oh, dude, I literally. I mean, you did it every day, and I laughed every time.
Yeah, that especially. I mean, if you voted for Trump back then, you were considered like the worst human of all time. So that was why it made it even funnier. And what was fucked up about it was because I'm a Canadian citizen, I can't vote, obviously. So it wasn't like anyone could ever accuse me of being like, "Well, you voted for Trump." I'm like, "Bro, I'm not even American. I didn't vote for shit."
Oh my God.
The Trump voting story.
Yeah.
Jordan, how did you feel about that election?
What's up? Which one?
I'm just fucking with you.
We're not going down the show.
Yeah. Nice try.
Yeah. What's it like playing for Mike Vrabel?
Love him. He's awesome. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, across the league, but he could go in and coach any position. Like he's right there with the verbiage, and Luke can attest to this. Like sometimes, you'll have a coordinator or somebody that knows what your room is doing, but they're not like saying like your combination words or know your overall every detail. And he could go in, whether it's special teams or offense, defense, whatever it is, he can go in there and coach it up, and it's awesome to have that.
And so the culture in Tennessee, it's a winning culture. The culture in Seattle is a winning culture. How would you compare the two styles between Pete Carroll, Mike Vrabel, and just the overall atmospheres in Seattle compared to Tennessee?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously multiple ways to skin a cat, and in Seattle, we're shooting baskets in every team meeting, which was outrageous. And I used to love when they did the Luke, what was when we get a new guy and Pete would troll him? What was that?
Oh, the story.
That big elaborate story.
Yes. I mean, do you want to tell it?
You tell it. You heard it more times than I have.
So one of the funniest things Pete does, and we love this shit, was whenever we get a new guy, Pete would come up, safe place.
Safe place.
So we
Safe
come up,
place.
safe place, safe place. So the whole team's, we're in an auditorium. Seattle has a really nice facility. We never knew when he was going to hit us with this.
Lights would dim.
He dimmed the lights, and Pete was a big motivational guy. So those things weren't like too foreign. The light dimming was a little over the top, but
And the music
later
would
on,
the music would come in.
the music would come in like we're watching like a, I don't know, like an E60 of like an emotional.
It set the. It wasn't
like
too
that.
over the top, but it set the mood.
Okay. I like that.
And Pete would be like pacing in front of the team, like not saying anything. You could tell like something is like shaking to him to his core. And all of us knew, like the entire building was in on it because he had done it so many times. So we'd go, boys, I'll tell you something. We got good players on this team. And we play well because of that. He's like, but why is it that we win so much? What gives us that extra edge? And he'd do this elaborate speech. He's like, and it's the connection that we have between each other. He's like, and that connection comes from sharing those personal stories. And he'd be like, remember the time that like so-and-so's dog died and he couldn't find him. And then all of a sudden, like he was in the trunk for 3 days. And Rufus. And we'd all be like, Rufus. And everyone, and the whole team would be like, Rufus. Yeah. And it was like, there's a couple things I'm going to keep off the pod, but there's a few that are like offside.
It got substantially crazier.
Like I was always one of them, of the stories.
Yeah.
Okay. There's like, remember when Luke told, and again, it was wildly offside. Okay. So we'll just pause there.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. One of the funnier ones too was he claimed one guy on our team is born with no nuts. So he'd pick someone and be like, remember in ninth, or like so-and-so coming up and be like in ninth grade, he's in the gym change room and he finally like realizes that he has no nuts. And like that one was outrageous. And everyone would be like, what? And there was a stuttering thing. Like he gives these great, this is a 5-minute process.
Happy meal.
So the whole
and like
team,
everybody would do it. Like they would be involved in it.
Yes, he'd talk about stuttering and like, and his line was, he finally said, happy meal.
And it was very quiet, like a quiet roar of people saying it. And so if you're new, you were sitting there in the room like, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
And everybody else is looking straight ahead like this is serious.
It's kind of how I feel right now.
Yeah.
Yes. And all of a sudden he'd be like, we need one of those moments right now.
We
need something to bring us
Safe place.
Yep. The guys are yelling exactly.
Yeah, you hear that? You hear that too? Yeah. Come on, man. You got it.
You got it. And he'd call up the new dude. And usually it was like a veteran guy that played. Like it's not like some guy that's been here for a week and has been gone in a week. So he calls up like a free agent guy or 7-year guy that we just got in the building. He's been there for 2 weeks. And like, let's say it's me. So like on the way up, we're all going like, Luke.
Hey, come on, you got it, man. Safe place.
Meanwhile, now we start crinkling up pieces of paper into like little balls and shit.
Hey, but this person's sweating, dude. You can every person that got called up, you could see them like, because it started out as
we called up Dale Earnhardt Jr. No, was it Jeff Gordon? One day he called up Jeff Gordon, the NASCAR guy.
I wanted to leave, dude. I wanted to leave. I wanted to crawl out of my skin and get out of there.
We smacked Jeff Gordon with this.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
You got to get to the punchline. Do the punchline.
Okay, so then Pete would hug him, and then he'd be like, "Floor is yours," and they'd like shut the music off.
There'd always be a extended pause.
Yes. And then he'd be like, "Well," and Pete would let him get like 5 words in. So it'd be like a lot of times, big, and I'd say 80% of the time, the first line is like, "Well, I grew up in LaSalle, Ontario," or whatever you like grew up. Or like, my home situation, and Pete would just yell, "Shut the fuck up!" And we'd all say,
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares what your fucking story. Throwing papers and shit. Yeah. Boo! Off stage. You think your fucking story is more important than mine? And
dude.
Like everyone's got a fucking story around.
Everybody was so relieved, though, I felt like, after, they realized they weren't going to have to tell some traumatizing story about their childhood in front of the team for meeting them the very first time.
And you guys did that to Jeff Gordon?
We did it to Jeff Gordon. We did it to who was the edge rusher we brought in?
Was it Dwight Freeney?
Dwight Freeney. We tried to do it to Dwight Freeney. He wouldn't get up and do it.
Good.
He wouldn't get. He was like, "No,
that's
fuck
my
you
guy,
off."
Dwight Freeney.
Yeah, that was one of the crazier things.
The story that I heard
that.
too, you're gonna love this, but I wasn't there for this, so I can't confirm. But I'd heard that the couple years before I got there, they signed Terrell Owens. So it's kind of weird because when you think of T.O., you don't think of him as a Seahawk because I believe they cut him after camp. Okay, he's like a whatever year guy. But there's some photos up there of Terrell Owens in a Seahawk uniform. I bet producer Alec can find it. So apparently he did it to T.O. and got him. And everyone was booing T.O. And T.O. was like, "No, but for real, I got something I want to get off my chest." Everyone's booing him like, "We don't give a fuck about your story." He's like, "No, now that I'm up here, I'm telling the shit."
Oh God, we were always worried we were gonna not be able to stop somebody before they said something they didn't want to too. That was always a concern of mine.
Yeah, I agree, but Pete always, I mean, he was a magician, he's the wizard.
But yeah,
we gotta ask him, Belly. And Belly, I feel like you need to tee this guy up about the Thursday. Because I want to hear from your point of view. I feel like we're kind of like, Belly, just take it away. Take it away, man.
Yeah, definitely know what this is about. Thursday. What am I asking here, Luke?
Techno Thursday.
Oh yeah, Techno Thursday. You mentioned that earlier. What's Techno?
Yeah, what did you say? You said you had to get something off your chest. You got a confession, dude?
I feel like I get way
watch.
too much credit.
Oh, yeah, dude. But that
Thursday.
was you get too much credit, but I was fine.
So we have a day in Seattle. It still lives.
Very nice.
That's ridiculous, bro. That's ridiculous.
Can I see that again?
For those who aren't watching this,
is that a water jug?
Look at this jug. God bless our troops. God bless
Good night, sweet. Good night, sweet prince.
Bruce would go to the facility with a picture of the Grim Reaper tucking someone in from a company called Kill Bad Dudes, and he would say, "Good night, sweet prince." Anyways, to this day, I get tweets. I get like all sorts of people that are like Luke Willson, inventor of Techno Thursday in Seattle. This year, when the Seahawks played in Germany, they had a huge Techno Thursday rave. We would do raves in the end zone. Like, it was a whole thing. And it really became fun because the years we were doing it, when we scored, specifically Jimmy Graham or myself scored, they would cue, like the stadium knew to cue the techno music, the exact song, and we'd be in the end zone just like raving. A bunch of videos of this shit. It's kind of wild. And but it really, I don't think I did this on purpose, but the confession is like, Roos, if I have to say who like really brought Techno Thursday and Short Shorts together, I'd say it's like 75-25 Roos. I might have provided the techno music, but the whole ensemble is you.
The ensemble's me, but you brought the energy to it, though.
Yeah.
Not the end. Yeah.
No, go. Let it fly, bro. Let it fly.
No. I would say you brought the energy to it and brought it together. Like without you, it doesn't exist.
That's fair.
Now I had the ridiculous shorts and was like jockeying for people to like, hey man, we should get those shorts hemmed up a little bit. And we had like we had so many people with them. Like Russ was in them. Like everybody was.
Yes. We'll get producer Alec. There's a shot in my IG. I think that's on there. But Roos was the first guy where like he would go out to practice and he would wear either shorts or he would cut football pants so that they were like 5 inches long. So it was like he'd have his shoulder pads on and these 5-inch football tights, and that's it. And obviously your helmet. Or he'd have these very, very like short shorts. And I was like, bro, this is an electric look. Like he kind of looks like one of those old school basketball players. So then I jumped in on this thing. And then we started to introduce like, hey, we need a day, bro. We need a day music wise. Like we're not going to get country. I tried to introduce Metal Mondays. That almost caught on
Metal
the way.
Monday.
Metal Monday.
You'd be screaming that in team stretch and people would be like, shut up, Luke. But I was
But
with.
no,
Yeah, go ahead.
yes, you were with it. You were with it. But Techno Thursday landed because we could kind of create a Las Vegas vibe. Like, even if you weren't into techno, I knew enough of the techno jams that everybody's heard while they're at Encore Beach Club. And it takes them back to like that moment where they're like, bro, I remember this shit from Vegas. This shit was tight. So the first one, I was like, okay, this is my shot. They told me they're going to give me 3 songs. I believe KJ Wright gave me the green light. KJ was like, bro, I'm going to give you 3 songs and this shit better hit. Like, we're going to play it at practice. So me and Roos are like, bro, like going back and forth. Like, what are the 3, bro? Because if we hit the 3, we'll get 5 next week. Yeah. And all of a sudden, we started bopping it, bro. And like Roos comes out here. I put the shorts on like Roos. We're listening to the tunes. And it's like, it was during special teams, I want to say. It might have been like song 1. And we just start going ballistic on the field. Ballistic. I mean, it was ridiculous.
That video of Jimmy taking the box out there, I'm sad I didn't get a part of that where McAvoy comes out of the box.
Yes, we're gonna
doing the flute around the box. That was electric.
And that was the first viral video I want to say that I've.
We couldn't get JG in the short shorts though. He wouldn't do it.
Yeah, he was the one guy that would not, under no circumstance, wear short shorts.
Which it was fine. It was like, hey man.
Yeah, worked out.
Do your thing.
When did you start embracing the short shorts, Jordan?
I don't know. I don't know. Like when you're working out and stuff, like I feel like it's annoying to have like your shorts touching your knees, and then so I think in college I bought some like short loose shorts, and I was like, oh, these are kind of cool. The kind of 80s look. I saw a picture of my dad in some like short shorts too back in the day, and I was like, oh, these are cool. Yeah. And then I've just kind of rocked them since, and I don't know. I hate working out. I don't have any long shorts.
I'm sending producer Alec a couple clips right now we can get in here, but I may
talk
about the video.
Yeah, you were talking about like this, if Jimmy scored and you scored. Talk about you need to like have your shit prepared when Jimmy comes off the sideline, because after he scored, there was no telling, dude. He would like violently shove somebody, or like he would just fucking headbutt people. Like Jimmy was violent after he scored. Violent. Like even like making like the bro celebration hug, like he like knocked the breath out. You're like, oh my god,
dude, it was so. This is one thing I think that people don't give enough respect. Yeah, I did get headbutted last night. We'll get into that in a sec. Endearing headbutt. I'll just say it now. Been a while. Saw Mark Andrews, and I was like, dude, Mark, chopping it up a little bit. Good to see him. We got excited a little bit. He's like, tight ends, baby, we're little nuts. And like, kind of, it's like, yo, I'm going to headbutt you. And I'm like, all right, bro. And then all of a sudden you do it once and you feel kind of alive, and you're like, oh shit, let's do that again. Boom. But he kind of has a pointy head. Like I found out last night, and maybe he just got me in the right spot. But the last one he did, I actually thought he split my head open. So I'm like, fuck, am I bleeding? I'm not. And you can't really tell right now. You can kind of see it's a little. But like this morning, I'm like, Juice, I'm really like, it's not that I'm hungover, but my shit is like sore, like my head. Oh, does that make sense?
Yeah, typically when you headbutt people with your skull, you might wake up with a headache the next morning.
Yeah, but this, looping back to Jimmy, here's my thing, dude. It was electric. Was that because he was such a prolific pass catcher, I thought people forgot. They thought like, oh, this guy's not like, he's just big. He's like power, but he's not like powerful. Jimmy Graham was like 6'7", 275, and powerful as fuck, bro. Like, yes, he could do all the finesse shit, but like violent. So it'd be like he would score the shit, and he was like, whoa, and you just like, you want to go celebrate with him, but you're like, bro, you got to be careful now. He hit you back and like, let's go, boom, and he hit you like in the chest. You'd be like, oh shit.
Oh, it was the shiver, the forearm shiver.
Boom, and it was like bone rattling, and you're like, dude, I watched him shove a coach down, not intentionally, but boom, the coach like buckled, like whole body.
He knocked the breath out of me, dude.
Oh, it was ridiculous. But my favorite Jimmy one was the one time, I think it was against Philly, and they got this somewhere on Sights and Sounds in Seattle. But he scores a sick TD. I remember it was like, boom, I want to say we were like 25, 30 out. Catches this ball, finagles around a little bit, breaks a tackle, gets in there. Big moment. We're at home. Philly was pretty good. Okay, he doesn't like do all the like forearm shivering like normal. He sits down on the bench, like completely calm. And he's just breathing like some Zen moment. And I'm kind of like eyeballing him to the side. I'm like, this is like, what's up, dude? You know, something weird. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he just goes, "That boy wanted more! I wanted more!" And starts screaming. Looks over at me, he goes, "They don't get it! That boy just wanted more!" And me and Roos were just going nuts. For the next like 2
Just
years,
screaming at him. Yeah.
screaming. Like, bro, we'd be playing shuffleboard. We'd be playing.
I still say that boy wanted more.
Yes. So, we'd go in the sauna.
People are like,
We'd put a water on like the sauna. Oh, there it is. Short.
there it is.
Oh my!
Look at Creatureman.
Look at the boys.
Look at the boys. I mean,
Frank Clark?
Frank Clark in there. Uh-oh.
every piece of clothing I have is just stupidly altered.
Yes. But when I'm telling you, I just remember, and Roos, you were the man out again. Like I could see me and Jimmy might be in the sauna. Roos would come in and like dump one of the waters on the steam part to make it like way hotter, and then look at us and go, "I want it more." It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I said you made work so enjoyable, dude. Like whether it was like us coming up with like a Metal Monday or a Techno Thursday, or he was on the crypto kick for a while and was like, "I made X amount of dollars." Like whenever you be at walkthroughs, just screaming
Crypto.
like crypto. Like it just if you repeat anything or you make a day out of it, it makes work so enjoyable.
Yeah. I remember one of my proudest moments was instead of when we do two tight end stuff with Jimmy and they'd want to flip what we were normally playing. Generally, I would be the Y, Jimmy would be the F. If we wanted to flip, it'd be like Tiger flip or like something to that effect. And we got to the point where the F would play a little bit of fullback. It's not a true fullback, but it was like, Luke, we're going to put you like kind of the H-back role. And if we do that, we're going to call whatever, like Tiger switch. And I ended up getting it, the switch part changed to crypto. So it was Tiger crypto. Crypto. So like I'm running through the NFL games. So like, and I talk to him like, "Yo, it's crypto. Like, how are we calling this shit right now? Man, I know he's got something on his chest. He wants to dog me for, man.
He's
get it on the
got
chest,
yours.
big dog. Take the floor is yours, bro.
Let's hear about the salt spray.
The floor is yours.
I mean, so Luke got this like this good. What was the picture of you in the suit? You might have had some shades on. Your hair looked nice. It was kind of turned over to the side.
Yeah.
And so I guess he had like sprayed some salt spray in there, and like he thought that's what made his hair look like that. It was just a really good picture, quality picture of his hair. So this guy just starts in the locker room. We'll be in the locker room. We got a shower. He'd be like, "Bro, salt spray," and he would just be dousing his hair in this salt spray. And my wife's like, "Hey, man, like you're not supposed to do it like that. You know, like it's not how it works." And Luke was on this kick. He went to a hairdresser. He spent like $500, couple hours there. He wanted like an Anakin braid down the side, and it took them $500 and a lot of hours to realize that wasn't the right way to go. It was just dousing your hair in salt spray. But
yeah, a little context. He does have a point there. When I was younger, I didn't really take care of my hair. So then all of a sudden it was like, how come on some days they look good and some days it didn't? And I've learned a lot about hair care on a daily basis. I feel like all three of us have had long hair at some point. You know? You guys know what I'm talking about.
You evolved, dude.
At what age did you learn you're not supposed to shampoo every day?
Probably early 20s.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, probably right.
Yeah. So that was one, but I used to have this little salt spray thing. I actually have it over there just in case. But I'd go and like fucking go a night out, and I would just drench my whole hair in it, which I found out later is just terrible for you. So like you couldn't tell, but it looked like I just came out of like the ocean. So like the vibe at night looked sick, but if you like felt it, it was like this thick textured, disgusting hair.
The peacock.
I'd sit down. The peacock?
The peacock? Are you kidding me?
The peacock has made its way to Canada that no one knows that's what I actually call it. I've kind of got it now, but Belly, another
That's
one
a little peacocky.
Yeah, was I used to wear the bun And again, the hair would be thicker because it would have a ton of salt in it. And I would spray it like a peacock feather the whole time. And I would just go to Bruce and go, the peacock?
It would just be saying it back and forth.
Bro, what did you think of BFR Fridays?
Oh yeah, dude, it was awesome. Luke would go into the training room and would have our guys put like the recovery tool, the blood flow restriction. It's an expensive machine that they use for recovery, and he'd get it put on his biceps, and we would just get in there and we just do like high reps, light weight, and he'd just be screaming BFR Friday,
Bro, we
BFR
gotta get
Friday.
pumping. Listen, Belly, I didn't have the biggest arms, man. So I knew, like, especially Sunday, you're playing on national television. If it was a Sunday night game, I'm like, bro, I don't like this pregame pump. We got to get it in now, man. We got a couple hours before the flight takes off. BFR Fridays. Put the tourniquet on the arm. Let's pump some iron. You should respect that, Roos.
No, I loved it. I loved it.
I mean, okay. I thought you were going to talk shit. You're not talking shit right now. He's in a blender.
There's no shit to talk about that.
So other than the salt spray, what was some of Luke's other than the salt spray, what were some of Luke's like go-to moves for a night out? Were you repeating outfits? Were you a shades guy in the club? Like what kind of stuff was he pulling off in the early days trying to maneuver?
Yeah, huge men's fashion ring guy. He'd have he'd have as many rings as you could fit on his hands. Look at that.
There it is.
There's one right there on display. It used to be 3 or 4, but we used to go, Nordy's?
Nordy's, I'm going today. Nordy's? Going after this. One of my favorite moments that I've had was like, again, there are a lot. I mean, I have a lot of favorite moments, Belly, but me and Roos did a Nordstrom trip, and it was just like Dumb and Dumber in there. Like, we're going in there, and we're trying everything on like we're 12 years old. And we found these like oversized designer fanny packs, and we're like taking photos with these like, I can't even describe how big they are. Just in like the Nordy's designer section change room, and everyone's there like, who are these fucking Neanderthals and what are they doing over here?
It seemed like a joke, dude. Our guy would bring back a different fanny, and it just kept growing and growing, and it was like a backpack around your waist.
All right. I know we don't have a ton of time left, so I think we do a couple more funny ones, and then we end with a serious one. Here's a question for you, Roos. Going back to your college days, when did you know you were going to make it to the NFL? Ask kind of everybody that. Was there a moment where you're like, yo, I'm going to make it to the NFL?
I don't know if necessarily there was a moment, but I took like my junior year is when I was like really serious about like, hey, we're gonna make a push at this thing. Like I was doing track and football for my first couple of years at Purdue, and I realized like, hey, football's the route I'm gonna invest all my time in. And then me and my roommate or my good friend Jason, we were really kind of like-minded guys, and we just grind like the extra day in the during the season that we'd go in and have like a group of guys on whatever our off day was, and we just get a pump in or we do something extra. And it was tough because we didn't win. I mean, I won 9 games, the whole time I was at Purdue.
Purdue's trash.
Hey, tough, dude. It was a tough outing, but I think you learn a lot about yourself, like when you're getting the crap beat out of you, and you still have dreams of playing in the league. Like, you got to go out there and play good even whenever you're getting crushed. And so I think that really kind of added to my grit of like nothing's ever really been easy, and that kind of is what I've used to stay confident in the league, and still fighting into my 6th year, like just wanting a shot at playing in the game, getting a start.
What is Nashville a tough city to play in because of distraction? That's one question I had for you.
No, I mean, I would go out, when I was there, the first year when I was on practice squad the whole year, like sometimes I didn't even travel, which was like foreign to me because in Seattle, everybody traveled, and so being on Peace Squad that first year, like we, go drink some beers or whatever if we weren't traveling, but
Bud Lights, not beers, bro. Bud Lights.
Beer. Bud Lights. Electrolytes.
Roos, talk to me about the Bud Lights. When did the love for Bud Lights take over? Luke's told me some stories here about just like other beers being even mentioned around you, and you just like you won't tolerate it.
Belly, I've
Yeah.
never seen this guy this angry with me. We've been through a lot together. We hung around, as you can tell by this pod so far. We hung around quite a bit, even outside of the building. Okay, I mean, I stood in this guy's wedding.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. I mean, I feel like we have an electric relationship. Not in a weird way. Just like every time we see each other, it's like the happiest I am. This guy, I ordered him. I can't remember if it was a Coors Light. Like went up and was like, "Yo, can I get a Bud Light? Whatever."
It's probably Miller or something. It was not good.
Dude, this guy looked at me like he was gonna kill my firstborn child. Was like, "What the fuck is the matter with you?" And I'm like, "They didn't have any Bud Light." He's like, "This is piss. You're gonna order this?" I'm like, "What did you like?" So maybe
I was probably about 20. I was like 20 Bud Lights deep at that point. So
yeah, and you were
20?
mad, but like,
Sorry, actually, okay. So there's
sure.
so here's a question. You're a guy that likes to drink. You're a big guy, throw a lot of weight around. How many beers is it taking you to get like a good buzz?
I mean, we're in the double digits. We got a good buzz going. Now how drunk I am or whatever, like you get in 20s, we're getting into me yelling at him for ordering me a Coors Light or Miller Light.
Yeah, Belly. I will say, apparently someone has dethroned him, but our guy Roos, up until last year, was the greatest beer chugger I've ever seen. I mean, we got manager Mark in the chat. Like he would delete these things.
Control.
I remember the one night we were in Miami, and it was like it was Super Bowl week in Miami. Roos was in town. Big week, a lot of partying. Unfortunately, we weren't playing the Super Bowl, obviously. And like to get a table at like a bar, like 3, 4 in the morning, like one of those after hours things. The guy was like, "Oh, it's gonna cost you like $200." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'd rather just $200. Let's go. This isn't like a club. Fuck it, let's get it." And he's like, "We're gonna have to buy like a case of beer." So it's me, manager Mark, and our guy Roos here, and we get a case of Dos Equis so that we can secure this like spot in this busy after hours thing. And I'm like, "Bro, we're looking at it's 24 of them." I'm like, "Why don't you start giving them away? Like, I'm not drinking these." This dude, 12 down in maybe 25 minutes. Just, it was absurd.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, you can delete these beers. It's ridiculous.
We were pretty drunk at that point, but
Yeah.
I remember being appalled that you were like, we bought the beer and you weren't even thinking we were going to drink them. I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Do you have any like funny drinking stories from like college or any like case races, Edward 40 hands, stuff like that? Like,
pull it up.
Yeah.
Pull it up. Pull it up.
What do you mean? What are we pulling up?
what are we pulling up?
Bro. I know it's on your favorites on your phone.
But I mean, what do you want me to send it to you?
No, just show it on the screen.
I don't know if that's how that works.
He's got me.
What do you say?
You know what? Pull it up. That's the Mark Norman dude, right?
No, pull it up. No, in college, I forgot what time of year it would have been. It had to have been the off season. We had like it was at like the end of the year. We built brackets. Like we built a bunch of tables. I don't know if I went to class that week or not. Like I was locked in and making sure we were gonna have like the greatest beer Olympics ever. And we had opening ceremonies. We played the national anthem. Everybody had costumes on, but
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, you don't have to show it on here, man. I mean, it's not bad, but he does a feat of drinking that is disgustingly impressive. Like, it's ridiculous.
Oh.
Commentate, what's going on right now?
All right, we got all the boys, our quarterbacks on the roof. It's a triple crown. You got to chug a beer out of a can, shotgun a beer, and funnel a beer. And it's all timed events.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. You got the time?
What was the time? 16
was,
seconds, 3 beers?
Yeah, I ended up beating a couple, I think like the next year, my PR, but dude, I had to try. So we did, fast forward to like this past off season, we did a beer Olympics at Milan's house, and the Boston guys like documented a bunch of it, but we just like randomly drafted teams and whatnot. And the opening event was a case race. I think we had to do like 4 beers each. Was it 4 beers? Yeah, I think it was 4 beers. Um, and my partner was Lawan, and he was, I mean, he's a pretty good chugger. And so I was trying to keep up with him. And, first one, we both kind of down, we're at pace with another. And then like the last beer, like he stopped and took a big breath and I didn't. And I just pushed it. He still beat me. But we crushed everybody else around us. Like it wasn't even close. But I pushed my body to the limit. Okay. And there's cameras around everywhere. And I did one of those burps where it was kind of like a puke, but it was a spit up as well. And so we got disqualified from the opening event because I threw up. I still don't think it was a throw up. It was more of it was a little bit of spit up. And we ended up coming back and rallying from last place to win the Beer Olympics. But it took me a while. I was pretty crushed. I was being sensitive about us getting DQ'd from the first event because we were
you got DQ'd in first event, but y'all won it.
Yeah, we came back and won it.
Oh, I love that for you.
It was a long event, though. It was kind of like a war of attrition. Like some guys had to go home, and people just like randomly left, and but it was a pretty fun little event. I'm just glad that I got the opportunity to for us to come back and win because I was going to be devastated if I was the reason we lost the Beer Olympics.
Now you said Lawan is one of the greatest chugger you've ever seen.
Yeah,
correct.
He's going to say he's not, but he is.
Is there anyone else in this Beer Olympics? Because I do remember seeing that. It looked pretty electric. Were you a clear-cut number 2? Because in my lifetime, you've by far been the best guy around. That's why I was surprised. I remember seeing some of those things online and being like, there's no way that people are beating Roos at this.
I mean, there was.
Were you the number 2?
Like Ben Jones and a couple other guys are good at I think Ben's good at all kinds of the beer pong or a random game aspect.
Like a flip cup. I'm talking about chugging.
Yeah, I'm right up there. I'm in the top 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Lawan used to chug bottles of water as a kid. You ever seen somebody take a bottle of water and just collapse it and it's gone in a second?
Yep.
Yeah, he's mastered that. Out of a cup, he's really good. Now, a shotgun or out of the top of a can is a different story because he's basically just opening his mouth and letting the beer come down.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Impressive.
I don't know.
So, what would you take more pride in, your bench press or your beer chugging ability?
Bench press. Bench press for sure.
Okay. Couple
because any Joe Schmo can just chug a beer. That's a cool task. But if you go to LA Fitness and if you go to LA Fitness and throw on 405 and just take it off the rack cold turkey and press it a couple times, people are kind of looking at you funny.
Oh, tell me Tell me you've walked into an LA Fitness, cold turkey, no warm up, put 405 on the bar, and just slap it around a few times.
Oh, yeah, it's terrible though because when you train in a professional football team's weight room, they have the bars are better, the weights are better. LA Fitness and stuff, there's no bend in the bar. It's just a bunch of dead weight in your hand, which sucks. But I definitely have done it before.
Couple more funny ones before we let you go here, Roos. We talked about that Miami Super Bowl. You got to meet manager Mark there officially. Make-A-Wish Slim was also in town. JG City. There's a moment at a Wheels Up party. Can you go through the rage that might have occurred? It also is during shotgun. Just give Luke Bellis a little insight to the situation.
I still have PTSD. I saw that guy randomly a joint practice, and I almost snapped back into that moment of when the guy. What the hell?
Said guy his name is Ryan Griffin. He's the backup quarterback for Tampa Bay.
Is that who that was?
Playing. Yes, it was.
Yeah. Oh, he blowholed me. So we all were doing a shotgun. I don't even know what number shotgun this was. It was basically how we were cheersing, just a drink of beer, but we were doing it with shotgunning. And we all get lined up, and this guy puts his mouth on the hole, and just as we say, 1, 2, 3, go, he just spews all the beer out the other end, pushes the beer out into my face. And I saw red. I was so mad. I'm still kind of mad about it. And I wouldn't let it go.
Bro, so through these Super Bowl parties, a guy that we've run into many years, shot him a message last night. He's not in town this year. It's Cam Brate. So as manager Mark pointed out, Roos did smoke everyone. We had a Wheels Up party, which is kind of a nicer event. We had to muck it up a bit, Belly. So we're in here and we're just gutting beers. And now it's getting to the point where it's funny. So we're like 6 deep. One of the funniest moments of that entire day for me was manager Mark would be the guy. He's an expert at cutting the holes. So he's cutting the holes and then he hands it out, right? So let's say we get 6 beers. He gets them, boom, pops one, hands it out. Well, Roos takes one and shotguns it, okay, before anyone else. And Mark looks at him and goes, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing, dude? Wait for us. In straight face, Roos goes, I needed a warm-up.
I think I called it a warmie.
He's like, I was just a warmie. It was warmies, man. Get another beer. So then, again, we had done a bunch. Brate came over, which is how Ryan Griffin came over. And like, what are you guys doing over here? We're like, fucking shotgun beers. And that's when the blowhole happened. And again, I didn't really know that was the plan. And all of a sudden, Roos is like, he smokes us all. He fights through adversity, wins the beer shotgun, gets rid of the beer, and like in his beard and like down his shirt, he's feeling to like make sure. You were kind of like not sure that it even happened.
I thought
you knew it happened, but you're like, you had to check.
I thought the guy was a rook. I thought he was like a rookie and somehow got a bunch of splash, like opening the can. But then I realized this guy did it on purpose.
And it was all hell broke loose.
So I took it
like,
as
who
like,
the fuck is this?
not only was it disrespectful that he did that in the shotgun, he did it at me. I don't know. It felt like he threw a drink in my face.
Yeah.
How else could you feel? How else would you feel like? What's the difference? Like if we had open cups and he just went, huh? Like that would be the same as what he did, but probably worse because he really got a laugh out of it.
So we had to break it up.
I'm still mad about it.
Yeah, I could tell. I mean, it's all time. That's what we're here for.
That's too good.
Another moment. That
Mark was probably. He probably has PTSD because I was talking both of your ears off about it for probably like hours and hours after that happened.
Like
you were just like, Roosh,
we just have an
like you gotta let it go, man.
Party. Yeah, electric party. We diffused the situation. It took us a while. No fights broke out. You know, we don't really need a fight between a group of 12 NFL guys. And it's like, okay, we're in the Uber. Hours later, some other funny shit went down, and Roos is like in the Uber, like, I should have fucking knocked that guy out. This is bullshit. And I'm like, dude, no, you shouldn't have.
Really, he won, dude. Just living rent free in my head still from that.
All right, big dog. So, well, Belly, you got anything, or do you want me to close this thing up?
I think we're good. But so, Jordan, you're under contract with the Titans next year.
Yeah.
So, as a Colts fan, but as a member of this podcast, I'd like you to know I will be cheering you on next year. I hope you succeed so much, but I don't like your team all that much.
That's fine. I see that 2009 on it.
2009. It was a good year.
Oh, yeah.
Feels just like yesterday.
No doubt.
All right, big dog. Well, Roos, I got a feeling this is not going to be your only appearance on the all-time pod.
Love
We
it.
got a lot of Canadian listeners right now that are probably going to be wondering about the Creature Man himself. And I can't thank you enough for coming on again. To make sure you tell Marzi. Thanks for taking the 2 youngsters out, specifically our guy, Rogan. And that's all we got. Jordan Roos in the
It's been a
flesh.
pleasure. Yeah.
All-time pod.
Great chat with y'all.
Thanks, Jordan.
Later.